Welcome back. We're trend spotting a new movement. It's a new cultural shift. It's a change. It's a big pushback against Democrat and hard left calls to defund the police. It's a big pushback against attacks on the police. Citizens across the nation now stepping out to show their support for police officers. It's happening in Virginia, in Long Island, New York, in Ohio, in Portland, Oregon, in Nebraska, and other states as well. This is happening as dozens of protesters are now being arrested in cities across the country for rioting, looting, arson, assault, and more. We're tracking those cases as well. Let's welcome back to the show House Judiciary Ranking Republican. He's Representative Doug Collins of Georgia. Great to have you back on, sir. That's a big change.
Oh, it's a great change, though. That's what we're supposed to be. Look, we have individuals who do bad things that are police officers, but I'll tell you that 99.9% of the police officers who do it right, who get up every day, many for very little incentive except because they feel a calling to go help people, they should be the ones that are applauded and saluted because they're the ones that answer our calls when we're in need. And in those who do it wrong, they need to be got out. They need to be prosecuted. But we need to stand up for those who stand up for us.
You know, Lee Zeldin, Republican of New York, said, you know, Mayor de Blasio treats cops like they're just catching purse snatchers. He's saying, no, they're catching terrorists, they're catching mass shooters, they're catching serial killers, serial rapists, and more. And, you know, now let's move on to this. Your reaction to now more than 6 dozen protesters hit with charges. We're talking protesters arrested in St. Louis, in Portland, Oregon, in Rochester, and more. So what's your reaction to that about these arrests?
Well, it's good. It's interesting, though, that we have to have a reaction to what should properly be done, and that is people held accountable for their actions. People who do wrong things should be arrested. If you defame public property, if you break windows, if you do things that you're not supposed to be doing, then arrest is what should happen because you've broken the law. We seem to have lost that. Civil disobedience and protest are proper in their form, but when you take it beyond that into criminal activities, it should not be the abnormal that you and I are talking about them actually being held accountable. It should have been the norm, but you have cities, and you just talked about it just in your last segment, you have cities in which they're actually turning a blind eye. My city of Atlanta and my state of Georgia is having this right now. It took an 8-year-old girl for the mayor of Atlanta to become outraged and still will not call on her own Fulton County DA to step aside where he charged police before investigations were even done because he's in the middle of an election down here. We need to focus on what is truly happening, and those that are turning their backs on it are the leaders of these cities.
Yeah, let's talk about these district attorneys, because Judge Jeanine Pirro had this to say about the Manhattan DA here in New York City not doing anything about charging the rioters and looters. Let's listen to Judge Pirro on this. Watch this.
Well, you know, Tucker, as New York City burns, you have a sitting district attorney, in spite of the fact that businesses have been looted, many of them minority-owned, many of them, because of the protests, closed forever. You've got a DA sending a memo out to his staff basically saying, number one, as it relates to the protesters, go easy, dismiss them, ACD, we're not worried about that, but we want proactive investigations into possible police misconduct.
What do you think of that, Congressman?
I think the judge is right. In fact, she and I have actually talked about this. This is what's wrong right now. When you've got prosecutors who are afraid to do their job, to live up to their prosecutorial ethic and do things where justice is blind to race, social economic status, or anything else, then you have disparity. And what she just brought up is we're seeing in Atlanta and other places, the ones hardest hit are many times the economically deprived communities, minority communities that they supposedly are standing up for, but yet they're letting their neighborhoods be terrorized while they're chasing police officers. And it's just wrong, and we got to fix this.
Yeah, Congressman, you're the son of a state trooper. I think you sent a letter to the Justice Department. What was the letter about?
We did. We sent it about Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard, and it's the discussion about the officers that he charged in the Rashard Brooks case down here. He did so without even finishing the investigation with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. He did it without a grand jury. He did it for political purposes because he's getting beat. And so he took the lives of police officers who were out there at this time, and instead of letting it go through the system as it should, he became the judge and jury on this and charged them, and then went out and tainted the pool of this by making statements that were not completely accurate when he was charging them. So we said to the Department of Justice, it's time for you to get involved. We cannot have this, especially in Atlanta, continue, because what it is we have dispirited Atlanta policemen now who don't want or are afraid to do their job because they know that they don't have the backing of the mayor or especially the backing of this district attorney. In fact, other sheriffs and other counties near Fulton County will not send backup in to help Atlanta because they're not fearful that the Fulton County DA would back them up.
Congressman, great to have you on. Come back soon.
It's always good to see you. Take care.